Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. If you did not see our stream last night about the El Paso shooter, you need to check that out. But we will fill you in today on that, even though today is our European and UK news. We do it every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, roughly. Today is the 4th of August, 2019. We have a lot to cover, but like I said, we're not going to really talk too much about the Dayton shooting by itself, but we will throw it into what it means with the El Paso shooting from yesterday. But we do live in Ohio. Dayton is about an hour north of us. We have friends that live in Dayton. Everybody that I know that I could think of has been marked safe. It was at a bar. Most of the people that I know don't go to bars. So, but we had another shooting. So it's been in less than 24 hours. There have been 2 mass shootings, and the question you have to ask is it just coincidental? I don't think so. They are blaming, from what I understand, the Dayton shooter on being a Trump supporter. I haven't gotten a whole lot of details on that, but I do know that they're blaming the El Paso shooter as being a Trump supporter, and he is 100%, okay, maybe not 100%. He's somewhere in the middle, but we do know that he got a lot of his ideas from socialistic, Yang, Bernie, Warren type ideas. And so he wants universal health care. This is all in his manifesto. He wants the UBI, which is the universal basic income. What is the universal basic income? It's $1,000 a month that goes to every single person in the United States. It's absolutely ridiculous. But what we talked about on our show last night is the fact that that's shooting people and eliminating numbers, not just shooting people, but eliminating numbers at all costs, is where communism leads. Because in order for everybody to share everything, there has to be less mouths to feed. There has to be less bodies to clothe and to shelter and to provide medical care for. And so that's what we're seeing in the ideas of this young man. He is anti-immigrant, but like we said last night, we're only anti-illegal immigrant. If he was a Trump supporter, he would have been anti-illegal immigration, but he's anti-immigration across the board. He's a nationalist, which means only Americans, which doesn't make sense because we're all immigrants anyway, or descendants from immigrants, unless you're Native American. And so when we look at this very disturbed young man, his name is Patrick Crusius. He was thinking that he was going to be killed. That was in his manifesto, stating, listen, if I somehow survive this, which I doubt that I will, he listed the types of guns, that gun that he was going to use. It was posted on 4chan 20 minutes prior to the first emergency call. So the question is, did he post it 20 minutes prior? Was there something else involved? Something more nefarious?
You'll see me. I'm on Twitter right now because I feel like we're going to do our show. I wanted to get a few things out there because I just got released from Twitter jail.
Right.
I've never been in Twitter jail. We have been wrongfully accused on Facebook and YouTube.
Right.
But those were both things that we could fight because they were wrong.
Right.
Last night at midnight, I was like, okay, guys, everybody has got to read this manifesto, okay? I have it right here. If you go to resistancechicks.com, which I had up just a second ago. Here we are. Resistancechicks.com. You can read this article, El Paso Shooter Manifesto, and you can get it download onto your computer so the left can't brainwash you. And this is
share this.
Share my article. Share Michelle's article. Share our article. Because this is how we combat the narrative. The narrative right now, there is trending on Twitter. This is why it's so important to me and people in Europe. We're going to talk about Europe. We're going to talk about the UK because they will, they're going to use this to go after.
Not even just history. They'll rewrite current events.
So here is history. It all actually, this goes back to European history. This goes back to Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
Nazi Germany, they were a nationalist socialist. Hitler got everybody to be so proud of being German, okay, that they wanted a purified race. He wants a purified race.
Which doesn't make sense because we're American.
No. In the manifesto, he says he wants each race to have a territory and to purify their races in America, okay? That is Hitler, and the right keeps... The right is so crazy, like, well... We are anti-illegal immigration, so I guess he's one of ours. Chica Wika, come on now.
So I'm showing them right now your screenshot of, on our Resistance Chicks page, of your Twitter account being locked last night. They deleted that tweet of the manifesto.
I had to delete it myself. It's like a punishment that they give you, like...
That's so childish.
I know. You can either choose to just not delete it.
No way.
Like it's like
That's
a parent.
crazy.
Like you can choose to say that you did something wrong.
Wow.
Right? They don't tell you what it is. It just says your tweet violated this rules. They don't even tell you what about it violated its rules. I'm assuming because I've talked about him being a left-wing nutcase, and those tweets are still up.
Yeah.
That it was the actual sharing of his manifesto. So
because they don't want people to read what he's saying, because anybody that reads this for themselves, they're going to go, wait a minute, this guy doesn't support Trump. So just because you are anti-immigrant doesn't mean you are pro-Trump.
I thought this. Okay, you ready? And that's true. Trump is not anti-immigrant. He married an immigrant. Okay? A lot of his supporters are immigrants. He's anti-illegal immigrant.
Yeah.
I am against drunk driving. I am not against alcohol, and I'm not against driving. Okay? I'm not against immigrants, but I'm against illegal immigration. And the right, and Ben Shapiro is leading the charge straight into the fire, ready to chop himself up, and it's just absolutely insane.
Can we be done with Ben Shapiro? I want all of you to just boycott Ben Shapiro. I'm so sick of that guy.
He is, in my opinion, he has become, if he is claiming...
He's a shill.
That if he is claiming that to be anti-immigrant is right-wing, then he should not be. I don't want to talk to him.
Right.
He's a
he
supremacist.
Have a voice.
He's a white supremacist.
Yeah.
And if Ben Shapiro wants to go to his side and be a white supremacist, the right that I know, the Trump supporters I know,
right,
they're not white supremacists.
Exactly.
Okay? They are not socialists. Okay? And by golly, not one of them would even contemplate this whole racial, different, separate state thing. Hitler, the left wants to call us all a Nazi because they're literally Nazis. Like, it's not even a joke. Like,
right.
And the reason they think that they're not Nazis is because they say they're not racist. But within the underbelly of the left wing, you have people who can do math.
Right.
It doesn't mean they're moral. It doesn't mean they're sound-minded. It means that they're better at math. And sociopaths can be good at math. So this kid looked at Andrew Yang's policies and looked at the modern monetary theory that everybody keeps sending me from the left, the Bernie Sanders people, right? And they want this. They see automation, they see computers, and they see robots taking over the world, and they want money.
Yeah.
They don't want to give up. Like we talked to the young man. They don't want to give up their iPhones. They don't want to give up their fast food. They don't want to give up anything. So they want. They've come to the. This guy came to the thing. Well, wait a minute. I want to keep my stuff. You got to go.
Right.
I'm doing math. I want to keep my stuff. You got to go. And that's his logic.
Yeah.
It is illogical, right? But he did math, realizing that we talked to the Yang Gangers, and they laughed, realizing, we're not going to get universal basic income. It's not going to happen, right? Because they can do math, right? Andrew Yang, for all as smart as he is, can't do math. Like, basic
so
math.
you have two different types of, you have the modern monetary theory, it's called MMT. Those people think it doesn't matter. The math doesn't matter. You just literally print more money. And so you have all these different people within this. And so it's difficult to pin anybody. And that's the thing about putting this guy or any other shooter in a Trump category. Or we can't put him in a Warren category. Or
we can't put him in a Bernie
they
category.
all have their, and it's kind of like resistance chicks. We are libertarian, but we don't lean to the right. We don't lean to the left. We lean on the word of God. And so
I'm not going to say he's a Yang supporter who did this, or he's a Bernie supporter. But I'm going to say that he is a left-wing socialist.
Yes.
And he is definitely a left-wing socialist nationalist.
Right.
And so when you put that nationalist on there, Bernie Sanders doesn't seem to be nationalist. But Elizabeth Warren, a lot of what she's saying was in his thing where he talks about American jobs, and that's what he was talking about, American jobs. He just went to it's called extremism, when you take it to the next level. And so he took it to the next level, and it made him shoot some people. And
what he doesn't understand is that it's already being done. He didn't need to do this. When you look at Pfizer, when you look at Bayer, when you look at Monsanto, when you look at the vaccines, they are already reducing our population. When they put soy in the water, they are reducing our population. When they create these effeminate young men and masculine young women, they are reducing our population. That is their goal, population control.
And actually, a better word for him is a progressive. He's an extremist progressive.
Right.
And there was a leftist on our website who said, I know these people. I've seen them. I have unfriended them. She said, I call them anarcho-Marxists.
Wow.
They exist. Okay. They are an extreme version of the Bernie Sanders group. Right. There is an alt-right. I have seen them. I detest them. I find them disgusting. I have seen them with the whole purified race thing, blah, 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 blah. A lot of them are unfortunately, in the Nordic regions, and they disgust me. Yeah. They absolutely disgust me.
Right.
But they're anti-communist and they're anti-socialist policies. So
on Facebook Live, Lisa says, Hitler socialists were not against other races, but against mixing. But no one on the right is for universal health care and the UBI. This boy is a socialist. You can be against mixing, but still not be a racist. I'm not sure about that. But that's definitely Lisa's opinion here. And she says he's from Dallas, which is a Democrat stronghold. I agree with you there 100%.
So my point is that this guy, he said in his manifesto, and he talked about his comrades in Europe. Okay?
Comrades.
Okay, so that's Russian Bolshevik Revolution, right? In Europe.
You just blamed all this on the Russians in one sentence.
No, I'm blaming on the Bolsheviks.
That's what the left does, anyway.
The Bolshevik communists.
Yeah.
And he still has a little, this is what happens when you have the internet. Okay? And you read a lot of things, and out comes this super killer. Yeah. Because a lot of these ideas are very dangerous when you try to implement them. Communism and socialism, as Europe knows better than anybody else.
Yeah.
When you take it to the next level, when you've distanced yourselves from God, from the sanctity of each person. I was just going to
say that, yeah.
From the sanctity of each person, then you round up Jews because you start blaming the Jews, and there's literally no difference.
Well, and it's also the godlessness of the mind, which is where this young man is at. When you have no higher power to appeal to say, you know what? If I just trust God, He will take care of this. He will make it better. If you don't have that, you have to take action. So you'll go crazy.
Hitler, the basics of Hitler's rounding up of the Jews was economics. Okay? He blamed the Jews for things so that he could take all of their stuff for greed.
Right.
To take their stuff. And this kid here, well, we don't have an influx of Jews here in America. We have an influx of immigrants. And it's greed.
Yeah.
And he wants to deport. And he does not make a distinction.
Exactly.
Between illegal immigrants and immigrants. And that is the sociopath in his brain. And I'm going to move on. But I want you guys to go to our website. If there's anything, please, if there's anything you share on your personal social media today, please, Michelle put this this in this link and thing. Please share this, because we are the only media, and I mean we as in social media, the people who are the independent voices, are the only ones in to be able to combat the left-wing narrative. Right. And if we don't do it, then we'll sink. But we're just one small candle, right? But one small candle can light 1,000, because our fire, I got goosebumps. We have a little fire here. God showed me this, right? So if I light your candle, you can go light other people's candles, and you can go light other people's candles, okay? And soon the light can illuminate the entire country. So please illuminate the country with truth, that these socialist policies are what led this boy to do this, and not Trump. All right. Oh my word. It's been really on my mind, obviously, you guys, because they put me in jail. Like, I said, Mom, do you think Paul would be proud?
So Gonzalez says, I was on Breitbart, and many of the headlines have Democrats blaming Trump for the shootings. And that's the thing. Leah was really upset that we were the only ones that seem to be calling out the fact
they're so afraid that the left is going to...
I don't know.
It's truth. You guys, it's absolutely... I seriously, okay, Breitbart, if you're a white supremacist, fine. I'm not going to go to your site anymore. If you're going to claim anti-immigrant as your stance, then I find you repulsive and disgusting. If that's the right, then I'm not the right. But I know that's not the right, because I've talked to Trump supporters, and they are not anti-immigrant, just like I'm not anti-alcohol and I'm not anti-cars. I'm anti-drunk driving.
Right.
I'm anti-illegal immigration, illegally breaking the laws. You know why? Because people get hurt.
Right.
This guy is not saying people get hurt. He just wants more stuff, more money for himself.
Bingo.
And that's what the left is all about. So yeah, I was on Breitbart too, and here we go. We're going to Breitbart. Because this is where we get our London news from mostly. And I don't have my links up, so we're going to have to go straight to Breitbart so I can tell you the stories that I'm bringing you guys today. We're going to the UK. Now, this should cheer your hearts today over there, you Brexiteers in Britain. For Boris's top advisor, Dominic Cummings, says to MPs it's too late to block no-deal Brexit in October. And you know what he says? Go ahead and vote no confidence. We'll stick it to you, and we'll put the new election after October 31st, and you can't stop us.
Wow.
Isn't that pretty crazy? So I guess they're on recess right now. And so then that I guess until September.
Right.
So they only have 1 month. So Prime Minister Boris Johnson's top advisor, Dominic Cummings, has reportedly told ministers and officials that Remain MPs are now too late to stop a no-deal Brexit on October 31st, lacking the time to depose before the deadline, even if they can pass a vote of no confidence in his government. While there is likely a majority against a clean break with the European Union and a reversion to the standard WTO terms in the House of Commons, a majority of the MPs, even in Johnson's own cabinet, voted Remain in 2016. Parliament is currently in recess, with MPs not due to retake their seats until September. They could attempt to immediately topple Prime Minister Boris Johnson with a vote of no confidence, which may well be able to pass, given the Tories don't really enjoy an outright majority, and some people might turn coat against him. But then they would have 14 days to try and win a second vote, and then a reasonable amount to maneuver to set a date for a fresh general election if that failed, quite possibly after October 31st. Ordinarily, Parliament has to be dissolved 25 working days before a general election, and so would be unable to ram through any anti-Brexit legislation in that time, meaning that, at least in Cummings' view, Remain MPs have simply run out of time to stop a no deal by default on October 31st in accordance with the terms the European Union Withdrawal Act has already put forth and passed into law. So
they already passed Article 51. It's already set in stone that they should have left at the end of March.
Yeah. There's no time. Okay, now, don't worry. I do believe there are things in the UK that they could just pull rabbits out of the hat I've never seen, like with Theresa May. She just kept pulling them rabbits out that hat. And I'm like, girlfriend, how are you doing this?
She's a magician.
But Theresa May is not in that hot seat. And Cummings says that the EU thinks that Boris is bluffing on leaving without a deal. And Boris has said, until you remove the backstop, we're not even coming to the table.
So Nigel is skeptical that this is going to happen. Hence the thumbnail that I chose and the title. He says if Tories don't deliver by October 31st, they will be annihilated. And we're going to get to this, but they've put 50 new candidates in. for Parliament. And so what Nigel is essentially saying is, if we don't leave by October 31st, and he is very skeptical that that's actually going to happen, and I don't know that he really is, or if he's just saying that to be threatening, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that if it doesn't go through on October 31st, and you know what? Even if it does, the Brexit Party is going to kill it in any next election, I have to tell you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. So you've got this guy here, Dominic Cummings, who seems pretty gung-ho, pretty positive. So we'll see how that turns out. Let's see. Over in Italy, Salvini is being very hardline. Again, and every week it's another NGO ship.
Oh my gosh!
Showing up on his shores, and he's like, "No, I'm not taking him. I'm not taking." And how come these NGOs who are so they were dying, they were drowning, but if I'm drowning, take me back home. Take me back home.
But the reality of the matter is that they have been promised a pack of goods.
Well, the NGOs are making money.
It's worth for if you thought that you were going to be handed utopia, if you were going to come and life was going to be amazing and you were going to easily be able to get your family over and so on and so forth, you wouldn't want to go back home.
Yeah. So this German-based NGO CI has announced they will not be challenging the closed port policy of Lega leader Matteo Salvini, opting instead to head for Malta to drop off the immigrants. The CI vessel Alan Kurdi announced on Friday that they will be changing course from Italian island of Lampedusa and heading instead to the Maltese port capital of Valletta. The spokesperson for the NGO said that they would not offer Matteo Salvini another opportunity for such an unworthy show.
Am I the only person that wishes he could just stay in power for ever?
Yeah. The Spanish migrant transport NGO Proactiva Open Arms also announced Friday that they had picked up 123 migrants and were headed to Europe rather than closer ports in North Africa for a safe haven, but did not give any specifics on which country they were headed, and then they were headed to Italy. Now that's what I'm trying to say here. They're not trying to rescue the people from the sea. They're trying to get them into Europe. Okay? It's like, I feel like I'm banging my head against a wall.
Yeah.
We're saving lives. We're saving lives. No, you're trying to ferry people into Europe by nefarious, illegal means.
Right.
And, seeing that these left-wing people who are keen on math as well, who want the stuff for them and themselves and their country. And there is a faction, all we see in the media portrayed are left-wing people who are open borders.
Right.
But you don't see the left-wing people like the Christchurch shooter who attacked a mosque because in his manifesto were socialist policies. You're taking over my stuff. Okay? And that is what's happening. We have this 21st century crash, right? And it is the immigration policies of the left that are kind of tipping these people over the edge. And I don't know how they're going to draw them back in, because there's more and more of them, because they're coming to realize that they're losing some of the stuff. Here's the thing. It's like the poor trans children we talked about.
Yeah.
I'm trans. And then their sibling becomes trans, and then they're jealous because, well, I was special.
Yeah.
Right? And so you've got Andrew Yang out there talking about universal basic income and how automation is going to take everything over, and how we've got to bring back American jobs. And this guy's like, well, the El Paso shooter's like, well, yeah, this is happening. And how are we going to do this? And then you have basic math saying that there's too many people you can't give everybody $1,000 a month.
Right.
Right? You still can't, even if you try to deport immigrants, you still can't do it. But that's the craziness of the mindset of the me, I wants. If these two shooters didn't want free stuff, they wouldn't see these people as a threat.
Yeah.
And so Merkel is to blame, and all these people are also to blame for the crazy alt left, right? So Denmark and the Netherlands had a 10 or 12 year fight for its burqa ban. So in Denmark has a burqa ban as well, and has issued 39 fines a year after Denmark passed a law outlining the wearing of the full face Islamic veil. Now, as a libertarian, I have a hard time with banning anything, including like face masks. I feel like when you have reached a point in society when you are banning the balaclavas and you're banning face masks, there's a lot going on there. Okay,
it's far deeper than just banning them because they don't like it. It literally allows anybody to hide behind a veil and and commit a crime. But like that picture just showed, I think that it says banning it is a women's liberation. Okay, right. Because a lot of these women wear this because they have to, because their husbands and the men in their society tell them that they have to. And so by banning it, I think that it offers some freedom to women who otherwise would love to choose not to have to wear them.
So I guess the fine is about $156. The first fine came under only days after it was implemented, with a woman in Herschel being fined about $156 after police were called to a shopping center and confronted the woman, forcing her to leave or remove her veil. Earlier this week, the Netherlands became the latest European country to ban the wearing of the Islamic veil in public places, joining Denmark, France, Austria, and several other states. The Dutch brought their burqa ban into force this week.
I didn't know France had banned it.
Yeah. In this week, with violations of the law facing about $167 in fines. Discussions on banning the Islamic full-face garment began 14 years ago. When Geert Wilders first suggested it in 2005, the Dutch ban is not an all-encompassing ban on the garment, however, with the ban being limited to educational facilities, public institutions and buildings, as well as hospitals and public transportation. In Austria, which banned the burqa in 2017 under Conservative Populist Coalition, it took only 6 months for the government to record 50 fines for violation of the ban. And I'm going to put this in the category of the wall. I am claustrophobic. And I don't want a wall. Right. I don't want to have to ban any article of clothing. I think that you should be able to do your hair, everything the way you want.
Right.
But there are certain things in society where we can't function anymore. Like it stops up. Like, for instance, you have to allow the free flow of water in your home, even though you feel like you want. Like, if you have a waterway, we have a waterway in our backyard. We can't just, like, dam it up. Right. It has to flow downstream.
Right.
There are waterway rules. We have rules in our own home on what kind of fence you can put up. Okay?
Right.
And
I don't know that I agree with that, though.
Well, I'm just saying that we have these rules.
Right.
Right?
So 95% air says, I bet it's more about not being able to use facial recognition. You could have a point there. I think that there's a lot at play, but that definitely could be one of them.
So to operate in modern society, it's tricky for me.
But they're not banning the hijab. You're allowed to cover your head. Mm-hmm. It's the facial mask, the I'm going to rob a bank type thing. And again, I'm not sure how much of it is for security purposes as much as it is, like this says, the veil is women's liberation. That's the opposite is true. Women are not liberated by wearing a veil. They are hindered.
And I think, like, here's the thing. Logical people can say that this is oppressive and it's wrong.
Yeah.
That it is a male-dominated, and here's where it is. It's men saying, you have to do this. Okay? Women aren't doing this. This is a man's desire to cover women up. And so in that respect, you're stopping people from hurting themselves.
Exactly.
Or from being hurt.
So Wicked Psyched wants to know, how do they handle that at the Department of Motor Vehicles? You can't even have glasses on top of your head when they take your photo. These women don't drive, as far as I know. I mean, they're not in like Iran. They're not allowed to drive.
Right.
So I don't know if their husbands just literally don't let them drive.
Okay.
So then it's a non-issue.
Okay, so we have some freedom here. And let me see if I can find it. It's actually pretty cool. Where let me see. Saudi Arabia allowing women to travel without a male guardian's approval.
Wow. One of the sons that's a leader, like the prince or one of the princes, there's a lot of princes in Saudi Arabia, is actually very Western and trying to implement Western ideals in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, and this is a huge one, okay? I actually, could make this the title. It could be its own show. Women in Saudi Arabia can now travel abroad without a male guardian's permission, a royal decree. And I wonder how many women are just going to go.
I know.
Right? The new rule announced on Friday allows women over the age of 21 to apply for a passport without authorization, putting them on an equal footing with men. Women are also being given the right to register births, marriage, or divorce. The kingdom has recently eased other long-standing social restrictions on women, though campaigners say more remains to be done for women's rights. Saudi Arabia has increasingly come under the spotlight over its treatment of its female citizens, an issue highlighted by several high-profile cases of Saudi women seeking
they may lose a lot of their women
abroad.
Female population.
So, Save Rahif, I was on Twitter tweeting out her live asking for help and for asylum. She did get heard. She was heard, and she was able to go to Canada. She fled her home in Saudi Arabia after she renounced Islam, a crime punishable by death.
I don't have rights in Saudi Arabia, and my family treated me so bad. They will kill me.
Her passport was seized, so she shut herself into the Thailand hotel room and began tweeting her ordeal, capturing the world's attention.
Wow.
I'm not leaving my room until I see UNHCR. I want asylum.
Supporters of Save Rahif called for help, and eventually the UN Refugee Agency gave her refugee status.
Wow.
And then, of course, social media users from Saudi Arabia criticized her actions. Actually, I think she made it to Canada, by the way. This must be kind of old.
Well, but it's still a video to watch to get a feel for who she is and her plight.
Right. And so they lifted a driving ban last year. And oddly enough, y'all, a lot of this is coming from Trump's administration.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I feel about this because, listen, we don't lean right, we don't lean left, we don't just say, hey, Trump's awesome, and by golly, I believe Saudi Arabia bombed our World Trade Center, so we should have been at war with Saudi Arabia, not Iraq or Afghanistan. But to see, but do I want more people dead? Right? And would I rather see freedom in Saudi Arabia?
Right.
And I think that Trump is taking the high road again, the road that I would not be able to take. Okay. So what is changing? Saudi's male guardianship system gives husbands, fathers, and other male relatives the authority to make critical decisions about women. Until now, this has meant that women there were required to seek those relatives' permission to obtain or renew a passport and exit the country. Men raise their eyebrows when somebody driving. Saudi Arabia, But the royal decrees published in the kingdom's official weekly of the Gazette on Friday stipulate that Saudi passports should be issued to any citizen who applies for it, and that anyone over the age of 21 does not need permission to travel. The changes allow women for the first time to register their children's births as well as marriages and divorces. They also cover employment regulations that expand work opportunities for women. Under the rule, all citizens have the right to work without facing any discrimination based on gender, disability, or age. And women are saying, I can't sleep. The changes that occurred today is setting the age of adulthood for women and men at 21 is so much more than lifting the travel permission. It signals full equality in the eye of the law. It signals what modern Sharia is capable of.
That's interesting. That's coming from a Muslim.
Yeah.
Like somebody that believes in Sharia law.
The first woman to become an envoy for the kingdom, Saudi ambassador to the U.S., Rima bint Bandar, says, I am elated to confirm that KSA will be enacting amendments to its labor and civil laws that are designed to elevate the status of Saudi women within our society, including granting them the right to apply for passports and travel independently. These new regulations are history in the making. They call for the equal engagement of women and men in our society. It is a holistic approach to gender equality that will unquestionably create new, real change for Saudi women. If fully implemented, this is a big step in letting adult Saudi women take control of their own lives. Before we start rejoicing these reforms, we need to remember that the Saudi government has set the bar so low for human rights that any minor reform will always seem monumental.
Wow.
And that's true. That's kind of true. Like, oh my gosh, women can travel without a male guardian. Oh my gosh, yay! And everybody else in the world be like, really?
No, but the rest of the world actually tells them that they should embrace their oppression because it's part of their religion and they should be happy with it and they should be, that it's your religion. You should love it. You should love being oppressed. We want women's rights all over the world except for when it comes to Islam, in which case women's rights is a joke and you should be happy. It's your religion, and that's the disparity between the Women's March and then them donning a hijab.
So you also see this. I read this week. Saudi Arabia Crown Prince's $500 billion city aims for futuristic Jetsons-like amenities. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia is planning this a city of like major technology. Like I don't understand.
He's super. You know what this reminds me of? So many of the Asian. What are Asian? Not princes, but what are they called when you're like in China and stuff? Like Chairman Mao, or what they're called, something. Whatever in Asia they're called. They're not called presidents. They're called like kings, like whatever. But throughout history, you see in Asia a lot the desire
Emperor?
Thank you. You see these emperors desiring, I bet it's already in the chat, desiring to be westernized. And I think that you're seeing something just like that here in Saudi Arabia. I had a little bit of a brain fuzz. It wasn't coming in clear.
No, obviously, emperor. Okay.
But the idea was clear.
All right, so the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's dream would include offerings of glow-in-the-dark sand, which they have yet to figure out how they're going to do.
Okay.
Glow-in-the-dark sand.
Wait. Glow-in-the-dark sand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He wants an artificial moon and live streaming capabilities. It's in the northwest.
So it's going to be like a bubble
corner. Is promoted as Neom. The blank page you need to write humanity's next chapter. On the list of things you can use: drone taxis, robot maids, genetic modification, artificial rain, Jurassic Park style robot island, sand that glows in the dark, robot cage fighting, security that utilizes facial recognition technology, a fake moon, and alcohol, which is actually banned in the rest of the country.
Get out, because it is. You can't drink if you're a Muslim.
So here would be some of the things at the exhibition for Nome.
Is this a money-making scheme, or is this just like he wants a fantasy island for himself?
I don't know. They're beginning from scratch in the middle of like a desert.
So it's not going to be in a dome.
No.
It's going to be out in the open.
I guess there's ocean.
This is really hilarious. Maia says robot cage fighting sounds boring. I don't know. Didn't you see that, what was it, Max Steel? That movie with Hugh Jackman or whatever, where they did that robot cage. I always think to myself,
driverless cars or no cars at all. He says we're just going to start from scratch and just build something up.
Oh my gosh.
So it's so weird.
So is it going to be like an amusement park?
I don't know, buddy. I don't know. All right. So Nigel Farage says that the big fella is going to win with a landslide. He says. Nigel
Trump
Farage
is the big fella.
Yeah, the man, Mr. Brexit, and dubbed Mr. Brexit by Donald Trump, says he hopes to spend more time in the U.S. once Britain is out of the European Union. He was asked the question, what if, since the ambassadorship to the U.S. is open, would you take it? And he said, it would be much fun. He said he would love it. He would love it. But he's got too much work to do right now. Yeah. And so he talked about the whole tweets about the squad. And he said, sometimes, even as a supporter and a friend, you feel like a kid watching Doctor Who when it talks about Donald Trump and his pretty brisk style. But then he says, I know. I thought, oh dear, about Trump's send her back tweet. And then you realize 48 hours on, it was genius, because what's happened is the Democrats gather around the squad, which allows him to say, oh, look, the squad are the center of the Democrat Party. He's remarkably good at what he does. He does things good way, and he's remarkably effective.
Yes, he is. Well said, Nigel.
Speaking of remarkably effective, no one is more effective than Nigel Farage in the UK. You know, nobody is more effective than him. And so Boris is smart, which I don't know if he actually is or not. He will make this pact. Farage predicts general election, urges Boris to embrace Tory Brexit Party pact. Nigel Farage has urged Boris Johnson, Bojo, to get his mojo on, to embrace a Tory Brexit Party election pact, with the Tories standing aside in working class constituencies where Farage's party is posed to unseat Labour, and Farage's party standing aside in constituencies more favourable to the Tories. The former UKIP Supremo and veteran MEP made the proposition during an interview with The Times. In the wake of the Tories losing the seat of Brecon and Radnorshire in the by-election as a result of the Welsh separatist Plaid Cymru Party. What is that? Tell me what that is. Cymru. What's the Welsh separatist party? And the far-left Green Party standing aside so the Lib Dems could eke out a victory for an explicitly Remain candidate. With the combined Tory and Brexit Party vote outstripping the majority, this ad hoc Remain alliance won. Mr. Farage was blamed by some Leave supporters for the Brecon result, but pointed out that in the Peterborough by-election, it was the Tories who cost the Brexit Party the seat, and urged Boris Johnson to reconsider his opposition to a strategic electoral pact. Just look at Peterborough, where the Conservatives split our vote, he said, indicating that the Brexit Party would not have been ripped to the post by Labour in somewhat dubious circumstances. We covered that before. There was a guy there who had already been arrested for voter fraud, and he was there counting votes and all the craziness going on. If the Tories had stood aside for their man as a Leave alliance candidate, if the judgment is we cost the Tories in Brecon, exactly the same applies to us in Peterborough. Officially, the Tory stance is now much more explicitly supportive of Brexit, deal or no deal, than it was under Remain voter Theresa May, and the party's poll results have improved as a result, seemingly at the expense of Farage's party. The reason Boris Johnson is up in the polls is because Joe Public thinks he's going to deliver a no-deal Brexit. The fantasy is that we leave on October 31st, and Boris lives up to what he promised. He says, I don't see it. Perturbed by Johnson's recent hints that Britain could stay in the EU's customs union, single market, and associated free movement regime for 2 years. He did say that. It might, once, we could have a no deal Brexit, but might take 2 years to get us out and to get us moving. Farage's fear is that Johnson's apparent embrace of the no deal is merely a negotiating tool.
Yeah, I think so too.
With the EU. Mm-hmm. That's why the EU thinks that he's fudging.
Right. He says, I think it was a means of winning the Tory leadership, and it means a means of trying to suppress the Brexit Party vote, and I just don't think it's sincere. So as resistance chicks, we've been saying we don't trust Boris as far as we could throw him. Obviously, I would prefer him over Theresa May, but that's, neither here nor there. I gotta say, I know how you guys feel. Some of you feel about Farage because of Tommy Robinson, but when it comes to Brexit, since I don't live there and I don't understand a lot of UK politics as much as I wish that I did, I'm going to have to go with Nigel on this one.
Me too. I'm totally going with Nigel on this one. totally went with Nigel.
So, but it's not exactly bad news, right? If you guys don't get a no-deal Brexit and you don't leave on October 31st, Nigel is correct.
Right.
And we're going to see the biggest change in UK politics, I think, ever.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think I'm actually kind of excited. So either way, it's a win-win.
Yeah, I agree.
Totally a win-win. Salvini vows criminal migrants will be punished, deported. We are becoming a serious country again. Italian Interior Minister Matteo Salvini has the promise to expel a Nigerian migrant who attacked a passenger on a tram in Florence Friday morning, sending her to the hospital. The Nigerian, a 22-year-old asylum seeker who was already deported once in 2017 and after re-entering the country illegally, was again deported in 2018, punched a 36-year-old woman seated in front of her on the tram. The assault provoked a scene on the tram, leading other passengers to restrain the woman until the police could arrive and arrest her. The police took the Nigerian attacker to the hospital for a psychiatric evaluation, having found her to be in a confused state. And Facebook post Salvini, who has been committed to restoring the rule of law, said that sort of behavior will no longer be tolerated.
Good.
She was attacked. A woman in Florence punching her while both were on board the tram.
No, she attacked.
She attacked a woman in Florence, punching her while both were on board the tram, and all because her body commanded it. The victim is a 36-year-old wounded by a 22-year-old Nigerian, already expelled in 2017, denounced in 2018, and an asylum applicant in
Palermo.
We are already at work to expel this criminal from Italy and all those like her, hardly refugees. We are becoming a serious country again. Only those who have permission may enter. Whoever commits a crime will pay, and those who enter illegally will be deported.
I love it. Boom.
Wow. There you have it, folks. There you have it. All right. So, I'm sure that Barry and Worthlook sent you the same links on the flooding.
Oh, I haven't had time I can pull them up, though.
So there's a dam that broke in the UK, and the Royal Air Force are now bringing in giant bags of rock and sand to stop it. From what I understand, no one has been seriously injured, but it's pretty extreme. It's pretty extreme flooding. And so I kind of wanted to cover it. The town has been evacuated. Kind of a big deal, as this dam wall just kind of collapsed. And a lot of people are blaming this on, I've heard some people blame it on climate change. They said that Europe has had record heat and now some record rain. And what happens when we build things and build buildings, nature has a way of
really flowing.
Nature kind of has a way of saying, you know what? You put a building in my way. Because when you look at the Grand Canyon, and you look at how rivers are made, flooding does occur worldwide, and it is a thing.
Right.
And so we put buildings up. It doesn't mean that it's climate change or global warming. We don't have to go and try to blame some sort of carbon thing, but we can just say, wow, this is crazy. It's Mother Nature. It's an act of God. We've been having it for years.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Very, very fast. Have you ever seen it like this?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, occasionally in the winter, but it's usually fairly short and doesn't last very long. I've not seen it this sustained for this long.
Simon, I'll let you go. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's Simon
Cheers, thanks.
That's Simon Perry joining, and I'm joined in the studio by our correspondent Sarah Campbell. The helicopter, as we see it, just arrived, and they are remarkable pictures, just showing the water pressure that there is, and that dam, well, all eyes are on that at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the emergency services have been looking at the dam there, the Toddbrook Reservoir, since that hole appeared sometime over the last few hours, and obviously to do with the heavy rain that this area has experienced over the last couple of days, and just in the last sort of hour and a half, the Environment Agency, first of all, issued a severe flooding threat to life, it's called. So obviously that's like the most serious situation. And in that sort of official release, they say the river levels in the River Goyt, so that very fast-flowing river you could see at the bottom of the reservoir, the bottom of the dam, they say could rise rapidly as a result of the water coming from the Toddbrook Reservoir. And that was then accompanied by the police evacuation order. Now, earlier today, police had been advising local businesses to to close. But just around 2 o'clock this afternoon, they issued an evacuation. And I'll just let you know what they're saying. The advice that they're giving is obviously because of this ongoing situation. They're saying to local people, if you are being asked to leave your home, then attend the Chapel High School, where further direction will be given. There are 6,500 people who live in Whaley-Bridge, so it's not an inconsiderable size of town. And they say police officers and staff will be at the school to provide further direction. They don't know how long the evacuation will take.
It didn't look, just from the shot, I don't think that you could quite get the feel for how big of a hole that was, just because of the way that the video. But when you looked at the tiny little people up there, you really could get a feel for that, and that's really, really scary. So,
Right. Yeah.
I know that you guys have been having record rain, as we had up until a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. I'm bringing up, here's the pictures. The Royal Air Force helicopter airlifts in 400 tons of soil to shore up the reservoir dam above the town here.
That's
the Royal Air Force helicopter and firefighters are shoring up a reservoir wall in northwest England amid fears that the rain-damaged dam could collapse. The Chinook is dumping bags of sand and gravel to reinforce a wall in the 19th century Toddbrook Reservoir as emergency workers used pumps to lower the water level behind the dam. Hundreds of people were evacuated from the town of Whaley-Bridge on Thursday, where with police officers going door to door to notify residents. People in the town located 175 miles northwest of London were advised to stay with friends and family. Heavy rains have caused these flash floodings here, so they're trying to prevent this break from getting bigger.
David says, no one hurt, nothing to do with climate change. Dam was upgraded in the 80s and not well maintained. This is a water authority problem.
Yeah, no doubt. So speaking of climate change, all of your favorite, this makes me sick. It's very hard for me to even get this story out. So all your favorite celebrities got on their
big fancy jets,
planes and jets, and made this giant carbon footprint right in the middle of your face, saying, you go use a little scooter, but we get private jets. If this isn't the cognitive dissonance, Prince Harry and Meghan have decided, did you know this, that they are going to only have 2 children to save the planet.
Right. It's the population control. Only 2, whereas everybody else should have none.
So, but his brother, and I think that this is probably where some of the rifts are. I follow Yahoo News, and they're very gossipy, just because I have an email there. And so it comes up. And so every day it's something Meghan Markle.
Oh my gosh.
It's something William and Catherine. Kate. William and Kate. And they're always supposedly fighting. Well, I could see why. Because I don't think I showed you guys this, and I think I should.
Okay, but here's the good news. Unless Prince William gets Diana'd, Prince William will be the heir, and Harry will not. And so it doesn't really matter what Harry and Meghan Markle say.
Meghan Markle's Vogue issue shows the limits of radical royalty. Guest editing made her a target. So Meghan Markle is an American leftist, and she is not actually a big fan of the royalty. I can't even get it out. She's not a fan of the royalty that she married into.
Right. She's almost like a witch that's gone inside to, like, cast a bunch of spells and tear it down from within.
You might have wanted to find somebody else.
Honestly,
she literally is she's an actress, by the way. So if you wanted to find, you know what? I am just tired of these British royals, and I'm just gonna make him fall in love with me, and then we're just gonna destroy it from within.
I don't think, because I think that the royal family knows this. I don't think they really would have let Harry marry her if he was heir to the throne. I don't.
Could you imagine?
I don't think they would have let him do it.
She did this guest issue of Vogue magazine, and she picked all these chicks. All right, 37 years old. was always destined to struggle with the vow of silence demanded by royal wives. You're not supposed to be political. They're supposed to be apolitical.
Right. Like, you're not supposed to know that the Queen is a Brexiteer.
She recommended Noam Chomsky on Instagram. She voted for Hillary Clinton. If Diana was the people's princess, Merkel wants to be the woke duchess. Her determination is not in doubt, but how radical can a member of the hereditary monarchy really be? The choice of the Duchess of Sussex as a Vogue guest editor makes immediate sense. This is what this article says. She's an outspoken feminist, an actor, first mixed race. Harry got on stage and said, "We don't realize how unbiased racism is deep inside of our bones." And to me, you know what that says? He looking at his black and white, because she's half black, half white. His half black, half white wife through a racist lens. And when he sees her,
right,
he has white supremacy.
Yeah.
And
so he's projecting that onto everybody else.
And I'm just like, hey, Merkel, like, I realize that, like, you're woke, but you're not that woke. Because he thinks you're like a peg below him. Right. Because, like, internally he's struggling with racism.
Yeah.
Because what we only project on other people what's inside of us.
Yeah.
And I don't have internalized racism, and I don't project that upon anybody else. I don't look at other people as thinking that they're gonna, like, have some sort of internalized racism. Yeah. It only once something comes out of their mouth that I'm shocked.
Right.
Okay, when I get around black people, when I'm around my black friends or black acquaintances, people to me. And then when certain things come out their mouths, sometimes I'm happily surprised, and sometimes I'm shocked, you know, like.
But it's okay. So let's be honest, though. To me, it's not a matter of racism. It's a matter of cultural differences.
Yeah, exactly.
I get around black people, and sometimes I'm like, wow, this is way different than my life. I can say the same thing when I go to different parts of the United States with different cultures of white people.
We could just go into southern Kentucky.
Yeah, or you could go into Wisconsin, or you can go into New York or California. And you can be around white people, and we're like, wow, this culture is so different than what I'm used to.
Right.
And so when we get around black people or we get around Hispanic people, there's nothing wrong with saying, wow, this culture is very different than my own. And a lot of times when we say that, we want to learn more. We want to know more. We want to be more engaged. That doesn't actually make you a racist.
No.
And so what these people are saying is, well, black people are different, or Hispanic people are different, or Indian people are different, and they're different from me. So since I recognize that they are different from me, then I must be a racist. You know, instead of just saying, you know what, everybody is, I mean, from family to family, people are different.
So the one of the women, I'm just going to go over a few of these people. She put on New Zealand's Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, and she is outspoken against the monarchy. So why would you do that? She put up Greta, the climate chick.
The young girl from Sweden.
Yeah, I wanted to see.
Nom Nom says, Meghan Markle just comes across as arrogant to me. Her personality isn't compatible with being a part of the royal family. She's too much of a control freak.
This person says she risks damaging the throne. The article here, and you know what? Let it be whatever it's got to be.
Oh, here we go.
Oh.
Did you want to play this? You have to wait a minute.
I guess this is her. This is her thing.
This is what she put together for Vogue.
I guess this is one of the.
I thought she was a writer. Version. She made a video of it.
I guess this is the video. It went in the magazine.
Oh, there it goes. Okay.
In the world right now, the decisions that we make in every country around the world about how we're going to treat women, how we're going to treat immigrants, how we're going to treat trans people and people of color, how we treat our planet.
My force for change is Greta Thunberg.
My force for change is Yara Shahidi.
For me, I think Chimamanda is incredibly inspiring.
One change that I've noticed over the course of my career is just how polarized the world is now. I do think there's a solution to that, though, and that's ultimately us coming back to the humanity that we all share.
And then she takes away all your guns.
Force for change is me. The ability to spend time inside, I think it's the strongest force to change the world.
They do such a great job at pulling
exactly.
at your heartstrings. And you have to understand that it's a ploy and it's actually really sickening.
Yeah, it is. It is. It says here, for achingly woke Megan has created a magazine that is about as exciting as an earnest lecture from the Temperance League. Worse, in openly revealing her lefty politics and using her royal status to spread the gospel of celebrity socialism, the Duchess has undermined one of the fundamental principles of the monarchy, that they are apolitical. The centerpiece of the former Miss Merkel's Vogue edition is a selection of 15 women whom she hails as forces for change. With a few exceptions, like the legendary actress Jane Fonda and New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, they seem to have been picked for more for their progressive, not even their leftist opinion, their progressive opinions, their ethnicity, or their celebrity connections than for any real achievements. This list is packed with more virtue signaling than a report from Islington's Council Women Committee. The list could have been drawn up by Jeremy Corbyn. Few of them are household names in this country and around the world. There is no room for the Queen, surely one of the greatest female heroines in history, having become our longest-serving, most dutiful monarch. She's not on the magazine.
No.
Nor is there space for the actress Judi Dench, or the writer Hilary Mantel, or the athlete Kelly Holmes. But there is a place for the little-known model Adwa Abdua, who has links to the aristocracy and is a mental health campaigner. Others among the chosen few include the actress and anti-racism advocate Gemma Chan, the American transgender activist Laverne Cox, and the Somali boxer Ramla Ali. Inevitably, Greta Thunberg, the teenage Swedish climate change lobbyist, the queen of the eco-doom, also features on the panel, like Miss Merkel herself, who still has a chance to redeem herself with the adoring British public. Thunberg plans to gain acceptance for her right on for her right on policies by boring us all into submission with her earnestness. The list could let's see. In American entertainment, being woke code for socially and racially aware is almost compulsory for professionals. And so you have an actress in the TV drama Suits, Megan Merkel, signed up. Oh, she was an actress in the TV drama Suits, and she signed up for the whole kit and caboodle. And now she's a senior member of the royal family. Let's see. A few times in our demographic age, when the sovereign has taken sides, have usually ended up damaging the throne. One was in the late 19th century when Queen Victoria was excessively partisan against the Liberals, especially over the Irish Home Rule. And so you have, so there you have it. And the monarchy is supposed to unite the nation, blah, blah, blah.
Not going to happen.
So Barefoot Prince Harry warns the world climate change must be addressed. He took his shoes off. Okay. And stood before an elite audience, I'm sure on a stage that had no earth on it, of business leaders and celebrities gathered at Google's annual deluxe retreat, I'm sure with all the finest amenities and none of it solar powered, in Sicily on Wednesday evening to warn immediate action is needed to avoid an approaching climate catastrophe. The Evening Standard reports Prince Harry, 34, is understood to have insisted the future of the planet is a humanitarian issue, not a political one, and the world must act to avoid disaster.
This is what happens when you marry a woman older than you.
Oh my gosh. She is just like, you know, when they say, he's chained or whatever, he is definitely.
Yeah.
The venue chosen for the latest cautionary tale was the Sicilian seaside at a billionaires-only party dubbed Google Summer Camp. Traditionally held every year at the end of July, the famed Verdura Resort hosts the top secret gathering, with a 3-day summer camp costing the tech giant some $20 million. Prince Harry has been keen to push his credentials on environmental matters, and of course his dad actually does put his money where his mouth is.
He's trying to do sustainable farming.
He is trying to do sustainable farming. He's trying to get Joe Salatin to help with that. And I know the royal family eats like all organic and non-GMO and stuff like that, but they're not actually
So we're
doing
actually
anything to help people.
3 degrees of separation away from the royal family because we know Joel Salatin and Joel knows the prince.
Yeah. Prince Charles. So you had Barack Obama there, Leonardo DiCaprio, and everybody was there with yachts and fun stuff, and it was all billionaires, just pat each other on the back thing. This is a delusional face. All life has left his eyes. I remember when they got married, he was really in love. I saw it in his eyes. He was really happy, and now he's just a robot
Like
drone.
I said, she's like a witch. She cast a spell on him.
Now he's definitely a robot prince. Definitely the robot prince. All right. So we're going to move on to 2 really big issues here. Hong Kong. They are not giving up. They have tasted a little bit of freedom. Now,
wait, Baza says, Michelle, Leah, correction. Prince Charles puts our money where his mouth is.
Okay.
Hot. Very funny. Okay.
Thank you. So, China has released some footage of trying to tell protesters what would happen to them if they kept on protesting.
Wow.
But people in China are risking their own detention by supporting the Hong Kong protesters online.
No way.
They are. But the government of Hong Kong has warned that the ongoing protests could devolve into a very dangerous situation after demonstrators filled the streets, squaring off with riot police as traffic came to a complete standstill. I'm sorry. You just knew it was going to happen. You just always know it's going to happen.
Sorry, guys. I hope anyone wearing earbuds is still okay.
Let the ambulance through. Blockade again. Happening now. Riot police fired tear gas into Hong Kong's Causeway Bay district. The protesters has found a way to stop the tear gas bombs. There's a viral video going around on Twitter. I'll show you where they use a traffic cone over top of it and stuff. I think they fill it with water or stuff it with something to stop the tear gas.
No way. Do you remember when the Cincinnati riots happened in the 90s and it was all over the news?
Mm-hmm.
It's being covered far more than other things, but it's still not being given the proper attention. I mean, we're talking about a massive, massive change and a righteous uprising amongst the people. And I will tell you where racism lies. Racism lies in the mainstream media, that when something happens in Asian countries like this, we don't care. If this was happening in a westernized country, it would be given far more attention, but we don't care because it's Hong Kong and they're Asian people and they're less than us.
That a lot of people do care.
A lot of people do, but I mean, I'm talking about the mainstream media even.
Oh, yeah.
They're not, like, why am I hearing about Donald Trump's tweets?
Right.
And why am I hearing about so many other things that are unimportant and not hearing about this that's going on in Hong Kong?
Sunday marked the 3rd consecutive day of demonstrations out of a 9-week protest, and you're absolutely right about that, which began with outrage over a controversial bill which would have allowed suspects to face extradition to mainland China, a measure which has been paused but not taken off the table. Since then, demonstrators have demanded that arrested protesters be exonerated along with the implementation of universal suffrage. Okay, they want to be free from China. Protesters staged 2 massive rallies on opposite sides of the city, according to the Wall Street Journal. Thousands marched in the largely residential area of Sao Quan O, while more rallied in Kennedy Town on the west side of Hong Kong Island. In the city's western district, police fired tear gas to disperse protesters who deviated from the approved rally location. Later, many suddenly decided to head to Causeway Bay, a popular shopping and entertainment district.
So Berbaza says that in the UK, Hong Kong is in the MSM quite a bit. I think that you guys do a better job of covering world news.
Too.
Because
okay. here's the thing. I would think that Hong Kong would definitely be in the UK news because it was once part of the UK up until my lifetime, pretty recently. So it, you know, Hong Kong was Britain,
right? And Les O'Connor just said that Hong Kong is westernized. The problem you have there, it was part of Britain.
So on Sunday night, Hong Kong authorities said that the unrest was a blatant violation of law, wanton destruction of public peace, and violent attacks on the police will harm Hong Kong's society, economy, and our people's livelihood, adding such acts have already gone far beyond the limits of peaceful and rational protest for which the government and general public will not condone under any circumstances. Otherwise, they will push Hong Kong into a very dangerous situation. On Saturday, police and protesters clashed across 5 districts with multiple police stations besieged and hundreds of activists confronting riot police. The anti-government protest movement has appeared to gain steam even as police use more aggressive tactics to bring it to heel. After tense confrontations last weekend, police arrested dozens and took what many here there viewed as a hardline step by charging them with crimes that carry prison terms as long as 10 years. Police said they arrested more than 20 people in relation to Saturday's protests, including the unlawful assembly and assault. Press freedom riot police have kept flashing the lights to obstruct journalists from doing their work. So,
wow.
If the government is waiting and hoping the protesters fade out on their own, they are going to be disappointed, said attorney Anthony DePira, who authored a book on dissent in the city. When the protesters began in June, an estimated 2 million people marched against the extradition bill. Since then, local business leaders say the movement is taking an economic toll, as they have reported soft sales, and that I can understand.
Yeah.
Here is a time lapse of them blockading roads. And again, here I am torn because you find a taste for freedom. They are under the thumb, not the whole hand or the foot. They are under the thumb of communist China. Mm-hmm. China knowing that China has to walk a fine line because Hong Kong is Western.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it says they hurt me from my back, no warning. It says he's bleeding after being attacked by police. That said, the protests show no sign of slowing down, as the mostly younger demonstrators say they are angry over bleaker political and economic prospects than their parents faced. Hong Kong is one of the world's most expensive places to live and has one of the largest disparities in wealth to boot. The situation is very precarious, said Hong Kong human rights lawyer Albert Ho, who told the Wall Street Journal, right now, there are a lot of young people out there who feel they have nothing to lose, who feel they are looking at the end of the rule of law, of a legal system, of a culture. And here again, it's very hard to give a commentary because I don't condone the acts of violence. But if there was somebody else with a different solution, throwing rocks at police stations.
Wait a minute, though. Wait a minute. Pause right there. You just said you don't condone acts of violence. Okay? But the entire reason for us to be able to bear arms is, should we need to overthrow our government, we have the ability to do so. Mm. So even our founding fathers knew, per the Revolutionary War, that when the government is overstepping its powers and there is nothing else for the people to do but to declare war on their government, then that's what they have to do. And these people don't have arms to do it. So just because they're throwing rocks, it seems like they have acts of violence, but they don't have weapons. They don't have guns. They can't declare a war, okay? They can't declare war on their government like we did in 1776.
This is Hong Kong lawmaker Jeremy Tam. He represents Kowloon East, including Wong Tai Sin. I took this photo of Tam marching up to confront riot police last night before he succumbed to the cloud of tear gas that had engulfed him.
I think that there's a difference, and we all know what it is. When you're talking about acts of violence, and when you're talking about having to declare war on your own government because they have become a dictator to you.
Yeah.
It's totally different. So when we see the riots happening, even in France with some of the yellow vest protesters, even that's not exactly the same thing, even though they don't have arms. You can just tell the feel behind it.
So tomorrow is a historic day in Hong Kong. News is over 200 flights, over 50% of all flights have already been canceled due to more than 3,000 aviation employees claiming to go on strike.
Wow.
So,
it sounds like it's the majority of I want to call it a country, but the city.
Well, yeah. Why are there so many protests in recent months?
To 1984.
Let's see what this video says.
When the Sino-British joint declaration was signed between the UK and China, an international bilateral treaty on Hong Kong's future after the handover. What exactly is it, the Sino-British Joint Declaration? The Joint Declaration guarantees that even after the handover in 1997, Hong Kongers would still enjoy fundamental rights and freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and freedom of assembly and the rule of law. 150 years of British rule came to an end. And since the handover, China has repeatedly breached the Joint Declaration and launched brutal attacks on the fundamental freedoms that we enjoy. Democratically elected legislators disqualified, activists jailed, dissidents kidnapped back to China for show trials, media outlets censored, and universal suffrage denied.
Wow.
Most recently, an extradition bill was introduced to further erode Hong Kong's judicial independence. Millions have marched peacefully, only to be met with police brutality. When called upon to uphold its promises in the Joint Declaration, China dismissed the declaration altogether, alleging that it is a historical document, denying the UK's right, duty, and obligations on this international bilateral treaty. As the co-signatory, the UK has the right, historical duty, and moral obligation to ensure fulfillment of this legally binding international treaty.
Wow.
We need you to hold China accountable. Support us and sign our petition
Go
at
sign that petition.
standwithhk.org. Fight for freedom. Stand with Hong Kong. To be or not to be, it is now or never.
Okay, so that much I did not know about the UK having a responsibility there, and it actually makes total sense.
Yeah, British supporters here of Hong Kong at Trafalgar Square. No extradition.
Trafalgar.
Says, I am willing to take bullets for you. Are you willing to go on strike for me?
Wow.
Now in the UK, but my heart goes to Hong Kong. Hong Konger, do not despair. Carry on. Our compatriot in the British Army showing support of our citizen. Operations against terrorists and insurgents today. So I guess
David Baguette says, I lived in Shanghai for 12 years. The Chinese government will not let the Hong Kong people win, and the UK government will not step in. This will not end well.
I have hope.
I do too.
We have Twitter. We have social media.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of people who are standing with Hong Kong right now.
Our Polish friends are.
The whole Polish people
putting out a lot about that.
Yeah, our Polish people are. Going on to a different set of protests. France is slowly sinking into chaos. The Gilets jaunes, however you say that, the protesters are still protesting. The Champs, in Paris, Champs-Élysées, July 14th, Bastille Day, just before the military parade begins, President Emmanuel Macron comes down the avenue in an official car to greet the crowd. Thousands of people gathered along the avenue to shout, Macron, resign, to boos and insults. At the end of the parade, a few dozen people release yellow balloons into the sky and distribute leaflets saying the yellow vests are not dead. The police disperse them quickly and firmly. Moments later, hundreds of Antifa anarchists arrive, throw security barriers on the roadway and erect barricades, start fires and smash the storefronts of several shops. And I think that that's kind of what I wanted to make a distinction between Antifa and the Hong Kongers, because they're using some of the same tactics, but not really. And the people in France, you voted for Macron.
Yeah.
They don't have universal suffrage. They don't have universal voting rights in Hong Kong, okay?
But they're supposed to.
But they don't. And so, but in France, y'all voted for Macron. You didn't want, you wouldn't have issues if you had voted for Marine Le Pen.
Yeah.
France would actually be a relatively safe, in my opinion, because a lot of the yellow vesters are protesting Macron and his liberal leftist policies. And what you have right now in France is the deterioration of society. It says a few hours later, thousands of young Arabs from the suburbs gather near the Arc de Triomphe. They have apparently come to celebrate in their own way the victory of an Algerian soccer team. We talked about this. And they started riots. They started to break into people's cars. And then you said, and then this article goes on to say, at around midnight, 3 leaders of the Yellow Vest movement came out of a police station to tell a TV reporter that they were arrested early in the morning and in prison for the rest of the day. And you've got this France today as a country totally adrift. Unrest and lawlessness continue to gain ground. Disorder has become part of daily life. Polls show that a large majority reject President Macron. They seem to hate his arrogance and be inclined not to forgive him. They seem to resent his contempt for the poor, and yet he is a world leader. And right there, Merkel, Mommy, and Macron leading all of Europe. And how can you lead all of Europe? Your own country's falling apart. And we see that here in America with Baltimore. We see Elijah Cummings. His own country has the highest murder rate in our country, and higher than almost the highest in the world, and definitely in our Western Hemisphere almost. I think he's the highest murder rate in Baltimore, even more than South America. Okay? And his little district is filled with rats. And this is Macron. Your country is literally falling apart. And you're like, don't worry, I got all the answers for the whole European Union.
Well, and that's the thing. Macron thinks that he was elected as a representative of France to the European Union. And so he doesn't think that he actually has to take care of his people. He thinks that he belongs in Europe. Okay?
Exactly.
He doesn't really care what happens. Look, my government will take care of everything there. I don't have to do anything. Those aren't really my people. My people is all of Europe. My people, I am part of a greater good.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how he feels.
Exactly. And the French police do seem ferocious when dealing with these protesters. I mean, they gouging eyes out and crazy. But what's interesting is that he's just a patsy, and we said this from the very beginning. But to see it play out like this is sad, and it's sad for all of France. And they brought in Greta, we talked about this, to speak to their parliament. I'm like, it's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely insane. Like, cray-cray. Like, definitely cray-cray. So, we're gonna end on some happy news.
I like happy news.
We're going to our favorite European countries, Poland and Hungary. Because y'all are like the sane ones left. We talk about Poland, Hungary, and Italy, and to a lesser extent, a little bit of Austria. But their government's a little shaky right now with Sebastian Kurz. They're I know the minister had to resign. I'm not sure where Austria's at right now. But Poland has scrapped the income tax for under 26 to encourage young people to stay at home. And this is what we've heard from all of our UK viewers, is that you see a lot of Polish people coming in. Oh my gosh, I have another thing I got to tell you before I go. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe that I read this. So, Ireland, I can't believe this.
Oh my gosh.
Ireland says that it has to import more migrants to keep wages low.
What?
They're saying that there's not enough people to fill the jobs, and so wages are going up. And so to keep wages low, they got to import migrants. And so, so they're asked about housing. They say, don't worry, we'll just build more housing. Okay? And as the article points out, I think it was on Breitbart, it said, with no respect or care about the idealistic Irish countryside monsters, usually. And what's so weird is that they show their true colors by saying, we want to keep wages low.
That's crazy.
Bring in migrants. We want to keep wages low. So, hey guys, slavery was slavery. Not because people wanted to, and this is where they want to play it. Mm-hmm. They want to say that slavery was invented or whatever, or proliferated because people saw people of color,
right,
and decided, you must. I want to come and make you work for me. That's not what happened. Slavery has been, sees no race. People have been slaves since the beginning of time,
right?
Regardless of race,
Israelites,
or anything. So the idea is, people want other people to work for them.
Yeah.
And they want people to work for low wages. So slavery was, hey, this is simple. Hey, these people we're going to make them work for us for free.
Careful. That's all. No,
what are you trying to do, Mom?
You're fine.
I'll bring some up for you.
But you're not going to be on camera, so you're fine right there.
Okay.
If you're going to bring it up to show them, go over here.
So Poland is one of those places that sends a lot of people over to,
and then go here,
over to the UK for lower wages. But Poland is saying, please stay here. Poland is abolishing income tax for millions of young people in order to discourage the brain drain and encourage young immigrants who have abandoned the country for other EU member states under the free movement migration regime to come home. Almost 2 million Poles have left their home country since 2004, leaving largely for the United Kingdom, followed by Germany, including almost 600,000 university graduates. It's a gigantic loss. We have to draw the young people back, says Prime Minister Morawiecki, who, like his Hungarian counterpart and ally Viktor Orban, favors supporting more citizens to raise families and encouraging what is sometimes called remigration over importing large numbers of foreign nationals. Remigration. Come back home. Come back home because, that's another thing I need to show you before over the past 30 years, Poland has asked too much of its young people and has not done enough to help them. Employers were not ready to raise salaries for their young workers, so we will do it through scrapping their income tax. Starting immediately, Poles up to the age of 26 will pay no tax earnings on up to $18,000 a year, a very generous cap, well above the average incomes of the country. Asked by the BBC if fewer people, Poles, were migrating to the United Kingdom or even returning from the country since Brexit, Polish Prime Minister said that more and more are coming back, and I'm very happy with that. This stance by national populist-leaning governments in Central Europe, which are broadly Eurosceptic, although for now not in favor of leaving the bloc, often surprises left liberal commentators in Western Europe who take it for granted the free movement regime has been of benefit. So I'm actually really happy about this. But I want to find for you, did you guys know that Poland had its day of remembrance? And I am going to try to find my tweet where there's this...
Those are both from Hong Kong themselves.
Okay.
There's a black...
Americans went to Hong Kong.
Okay.
There's a black guy who loves Poland so much that he goes there all the time. And he was told to go back on August 1st. And I could have put Poland in the title and got like all y'all from Poland to come see us. Because that's, they do usually when, okay, where are you? Because I did tweet it out. But it would have to been after August.
How about you look for that while
I
show them what Mom wanted them to see on Hong Kong.
Okay.
So apparently some Americans went to Hong Kong, and she put it on, and I guess I'll just show some clips here on Bitchute and let's see. So this guy, he went. Independent journalist Joey Gibson recently documented the uprising in Hong Kong, resisting the communist Chinese invasion.
Seeing millions of people march against the communist regime China, I was like, I have to go. There's no way I cannot be part of this. And I had to witness it. I had to get video. I had to interview people. I just had to experience it. And it was a life-changing event for me. It opened me up a lot, and it was encouraging because what I always dreamed of in America, right? Sometimes it just seems impossible. But then to see it in real life in Hong Kong, it was unbelievable. It's like, it is possible. You just have to wake people up. People have to understand what's in store for a future. Because in Hong Kong, the advantage they have is they know what's in store for the future. They can look at China and they can see what's going to happen to them. Their free speech will be destroyed. Free religion will be destroyed, right? Censoring the internet. So, but for us in America, a lot of us aren't awake yet. We don't understand what's in store for our future. We don't understand the tyranny that's taken over this country.
This is a massive amount. So I will link to this in the description so you guys can go and finish watching that. And then she also wanted me to play, and this is an hour long, so I'll just play a bit of it.
Listen up. The soap you shower with?
Enough of you. Skip your ad.
That's getting real again. Protesting Communist China. They remember the time when it was British rule and they were free, and that's really hard when you take away somebody's freedom. Look it, there's an ambulance coming and they're all yelling at each other to split the road. They would never do this in Portland.
Yeah.
Or Berkeley.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to link to this too.
Wow.
So you guys can go and watch
That's
that.
awesome.
So thank you, Mom, for bringing that down.
That really brings things into light, I think, having that. And they are very American. They're very patriotic. They to their own country, but like to freedom.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Luke Life Charms, and all his videos are pretty much spending time in Poland. And he went to the...
Wait, pause. Do you want us to show something else?
No, Joey Gibson said that in Hong Kong, their internet is totally free. There's no censorship in Hong Kong.
Wow.
They know everything you know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So Mom says that Joey Gibson says that in Hong Kong, their internet is free, and there is no censorship, and they know everything that we know.
Wow.
That's
That's
amazing.
powerful.
Super emotional today. Here in Warsaw right now, 1st of August. It was the first day of the Warsaw Uprising, but everyone's gathered here because in about 25 minutes, a siren's going to go off, and during the siren, it's a moment of just silence. Everyone stops moving, everyone in the cars. It's just a moment of remembrance for the first day of the Warsaw Uprising that happened in 1944 on August 1st. And it's a little emotional, but people need to know.
So he does a really good job, and it is an emotional video, and he takes you through Poland, and I'm going to go to the moment here.
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
These Polish people, they love their country so much.
They do.
Oh my gosh, they love their country. And I love that they love their country. And here we are, like, make Poland great again. And people want to call us, racist or whatever. Yeah, I'm going to cry. It's just such an emotional thing. These people gave their lives during the Warsaw Uprising. Thank you to all our Polish viewers who now have schooled us on the Polish history down to about 1300 AD. So we've got it not down pat, but you keep reminding us. So we're going to be definitely
Justina P.
Polish
says, I'm
historian.
from Poland.
And so I bet that was an emotional moment for you. And I think that that's why a lot of Polish people are standing with the Hong Kongers right now, because they're standing as well. This is the Hong Kong uprising, you could say. I'm going to leave with this. The Hungarian government has announced measures to offer up to about 27,000 pounds, 37,000. I think it's $33,000 to married couples who have 3 children under its new pro-family budget. We've talked about this before, but this is a new article. I guess it's like definitely in place. The government of Prime Minister Viktor Orban will offer the $33,000 payment in the form of a loan to the eligible couples upon their marriage, which would have to be repaid until the couple has 3 children, and then the debt would be forgiven. Around 2,400 families have already signed up and applied for the loan this month, which is paid back in small payments each month. Should the couple have a child within a 5-year period, the interest on the loan is suspended, along with repayments suspended for 3 years.
Wow.
The eligibility for the program has several criteria, including that the marriage must be the first for at least one of those involved, the woman must be between 18 and 40, and one of the couples must have paid $180 worth of tax contributions to the state. Couples who do not have a first child within 5 years or no child at all will be forced to repay the loan within a 4-month period unless they give a medical certificate that they can't have children. Europe is at a crossroad. Western Europe seeks to address the problem of demography with simple solutions, which only offer short-term success. So Hungary has a long-term approach and opts for the more difficult path, as a result of which, however, Europe could become an economically strong, rejuvenated continent. Either we encourage births by placing the interests of families in the focus of politics, or we encourage even further flows of migration.
So this is the time of the show where we get to do one of my favorite things, and that is to encourage people to make babies for their country.
Yeah.
And Hungary is literally putting their money where their mouth is. They are saying, we want more Hungarians, and we want to incentivize our people to do this. I'm not exactly sure, again, as a libertarian, how I feel about that, but
it is a loan.
Yeah.
And I'm all
just
for
taking
it.
The interest off of the loan.
No, you don't have to repay it if you have 3 kids. Right. And I think it's really interesting the way they space it out. You get 5 years, and then with inflation and things like that. Yeah. But it's a definite I think it counterbalances the incentive it's kind of like reparations. It's kind of like the reverse. It's kind of like reparations, because our own government has incentivized Black women, specifically inner city women, having children outside of wedlock. Mm-hmm. Well, they need to reverse it. If they want to reverse it, they got to start incentivizing marriage.
Right.
One of our dear friends got pregnant outside of wedlock, but they're not getting married for medical and payment reasons. Like, that's stupid. We have to start incentivizing marriage again.
Right. Exactly. So is that our show, Leah?
That's our show.
I feel like I had something that I needed to show the people, but I guess not. I have been doing, I think, a better job of uploading things to resistancechicks.com. So you guys can go there.
Go to resistancechicks.com. We got
check that out there. We have, and also, we're continuing to upload videos from the
So if you want to see the poor children who are deathly afraid that they're going to die in 12 years, that video is up. Hopefully when I have some time, when I do have time, which I haven't had no time, I'm going to make little clips of that. But yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
So you guys can check that out. They're asking for a song, but I don't know that I feel up to a song because I have this thing that Leah gave me. She's such a nice sister.
I would feel up for a song, but I always draw a blank
on the song.
Yeah, I always do. Sometimes you can just go back to an oldie but goodie.
Maybe it's a good thing that we sing a lot of the same songs on here so that people can learn them.
Yeah, why not?
It's like listening to the same CD over and over again.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll move on again to your next favorite song.
All right, this song I probably can sing because my voice is like an octave lower now, right now.
What wondrous love is this, oh my soul, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this that calls the Lord of bliss to bear the dreadful curse for my soul, to bear the dreadful curse for my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down, when I was sinking down beneath God's righteous frown, Christ laid aside his crown for my soul, for my soul. Christ laid aside his crown for my soul. To God and to the Lamb I will sing, I will sing. To God and to the Lamb I will sing. To God and to the Lamb who is the great I am. While millions join the theme, I will sing, I will sing. While millions join the theme, I will sing. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing on, I'll sing on. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing on. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing and joyful be. And through eternity, I'll sing on, I'll sing on. And through eternity, I'll sing on. What wondrous love is this, oh my soul, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this that caused the Lord of bliss to bear the dreadful curse for my soul, for my soul. To bear the dreadful curse for my soul. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus.
All right.
So when the censor bots come in and they shut you down and they stop you from speaking the truth, you just say, I'm gonna sing on. And when the left comes in and says, we're gonna take all your stuff, I'm just gonna praise the Lord. And that's something for y'all to take away today. Pray to the Lord and ask him to do good things, but mix your prayers with praise today, you guys. When you're down and when you're sinking down beneath not just God's righteous frown, but the world, when the world is sinking you down, remember what Christ did for us. Sing to him, knowing that his power and his victory is what's going to raise you up. So when it comes to the Hong Kong protesters, if it comes to anything, when we're battling our government, we're battling the left, we're battling to get our freedom and our autonomy back. I see these horrible shootings, and I'm praying for the people in El Paso, but I'm realizing that at the same time, the left wants to use this to take away my Second Amendment, to abolish and to destroy the Constitution. And so while I'm standing here in faith that that's not going to happen, I have to praise God, because I know that he founded this country and I know that he has good things planned for me. But in order to enact those good things, in order to enact the angels to work on our behalf, in order to enact the Holy Spirit to go forth and battle these battles, because these are battles, y'all, that we can't fight. They are battled up in the spiritual realm. The other shooting that happened in Dayton, Ohio, just an hour north of us, that happened north of us, an hour north of us, and that was a spiritual attack, because the Democrats were losing. They have no policies, and the only thing that could raise them in the polls again is to have tragedies like this happen, and they can promise that they're going to stop the tragedies from happening, because they have made a pact with the devil. Okay, they signed on the dotted line. They made a pact with the devil. Evil flows through them they can be redeemed and they can turn to Jesus, but they are baby murderers. They support the censors thing. So what I'm saying is that their policies are so bad, there's nothing that could get people to vote for them except for these giant tragedies. And the devil can see that we are trudging through this jungle with machetes, just trying to make a path, okay? Just trying to remake a path for everybody, and that's what you're doing, and that's what we're doing, and that's what all these independent voices are doing here. We know that on the other side is freedom. We know that on the other side is liberty, but we don't know how far until we get there. Okay, but at the same time, the communists and socialists, they can see a utopia, but it's not gonna. And they think it's utopia, but it's actually hell, and they're trudging through as well to get. But they're leading the masses down a very bad path, and it's who's going to get to their destination first. So I want you to not give up. But the point is that you are free from death. You are free from death. Death has no hold on you anymore. So praise him today. Find a reason to praise God today. There's always a reason. Go outside outside after the sun sets and just listen to the crickets and listen to the frogs and listen to the stars sing, because you'll hear them, and praise God in that. And that will empower you, and that will fuel you, because it does me and it will you.
So Maia says, I love how Leah can tie everything at the end of the show like a boss. One last fact to give you guys, because somebody had said this in the chat and I wanted to confirm it.
If Maia's with us, wait, I have to say something, because I don't know how you contact Maia. Maia, I was praying and I was saying your name in my prayers, and the Lord says to you, I see you. So why not just tell you here online, I see you.
That's good.
Take that with you.
All right, so
go ahead, I'm sorry.
In Dayton, no, that was important. The shooter, it is confirmed, shot his own sister and her boyfriend.
Oh dear.
So I think we can rule out a political agenda. Maybe not rule it out, but I think that whenever somebody goes and kills their own family members, then there's probably some sort of familia disparity.
So now they're just going to say gun control, because if somebody hates their family that much, they shouldn't be allowed to have a gun.
Right. But still.
But it's not Trump's fault.
It's not Trump's fault, right? Mm-hmm. So thank you to whoever had put that in there, but I did go to the Zero Hedge article to confirm that. Boss Toro says, Michelle, any idea for when another Bible study will be? I'd like to do one tomorrow, so we'll see.
We have a P.O. Box.
107, Milford, Ohio, 45150. Send us your letters. We'll read them on air. I mean that. Send us your letters. I want to hear from you guys. Everybody here wants to hear from you. So, Maia says, thanks, Leah. I needed that today. All right, you guys. We love you. God loves you. God bless. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. And we will see you guys back here for sure on Friday at 6 p.m.
But before then, God willing.
Yeah, because we've got a lot to talk about, and we'll hopefully get an update on this Dayton shooter, and who knows if we'll bring that to you, and more about the El Paso. Go to resistancechicks.com and share that article.
Yep.
Good afternoon, good night, good evening, good morning, wherever you are around the world, because we have people from all over the world. Thank you for being here for our worldwide news.
Love the Lord God with all your heart and soul and mind. Love your neighbor as yourself.
All right, you guys. We love you.
It's cold all alone. No place for home every day. So afraid, but you call my name.